This is the Neoliberal Around podcast. We on the phone earlier. Earlier I spoke with Ricardo on the podcast, and we talked for a few minutes, but we didn't even get to finish the conversation. But I asked Ricardo, if you were to define the Donald Trump's presidency, his administration, his leadership, there are some words that jump to mind: duplicity, hypocrisy, arrogance, dishonesty, bully, and racist and juvenile. Okay, juvenile. First of all, why am I saying it's juvenile? It's juvenile to attack another sovereign country and on the basis of feeling, because we learned that they felt the justification for them attacking Iran was because they felt as though Iran was going to attack them. That is okay, and so they attacked them. Oh, so that was a sucker move. They sucker punched them, and so that was a juvenile. That was a juvenile response. Okay, they are racist. Yes, because they are taking away affirmative action. Yes, and not only that, they went after DEI or anything that had to do with DEI, and now Donald Trump turned Michelle and Barack Obama, making them look like apes. That's a racist move. We're saying they're bullied because of what they're doing with Iran. First of all, Donald Trump is saying, oh, it's unacceptable that the leadership that Iran has. First of all, they are failing in Iran. They said that it was a regime change. It wasn't. They killed the Ayatollah only to this 86-year-old old man that was on his way out, only to replace him with a strong, strapping 50-year-old theologian that is connected with the elite revolutionary army of Iran. Okay, he's a bully. In fact, some black people would call it a bitch move. Sorry to say, you can I apologize. I'm about to curse. They call it a bitch move. To look at a sovereign country and say, oh, it's unacceptable, as if he has any power, as if we have any power, as if we can say anything about these people. Okay, dishonesty, arrogance. You see how they're talking as if they call the shots. Hypocrisy and duplicity. The law is not a shackle. Okay, we must abide by the law, but they sugarcoat and go around the law. Yes, the Supreme Court passed down. The Supreme Court said that Donald Trump does not have the power, the authority to charge tariffs. He's trying to find wiggle his way out of that. Okay, the arrogance, the duplicity, the hypocrisy, but yet still we must abide by the law, but he mustn't. That is how you create chaos in a society, when those who are in charge don't abide by the law but expect other people to abide by it. This is not a monarchy, okay? This is the US. This is the country that we have. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this presidency has been a failure. And now the economy, we have how many people? Oh, and what's the economy now? When he was running for election, he has surrogates coming into Philadelphia, walking into black stores, saying, "Oh, it's so high! Look at the price; it's rising. What's the price of goods and services now? What's the price of oil now?" And now they're doing everything to make oil to reduce to bring the oil back down. This war, the tariffs, all these multitudes of actions is creating chaos in the world. That's the kind of leadership people wanted. Is that what MAGA represented? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm very passionate today, ladies and gentlemen. But people in America, we must hold our government accountable. That's what makes America America. That's what makes us great. The ability We don't have no, there's no Russian type leadership here. There's no despot. Unless Donald Trump is a despot in a totalitarian government, unless we don't have the freedom to speak and to express ourselves. I'm not afraid because as an American, I have every right to express my opinion about what I feel about his government, and his government has been a failure. And if we sit down and sit down in our beds and roll over pretend that this government has been righteous, then whatever is coming is meeting at us is justifiable. Now we have 7 people dead, 7 Americans dead. Okay, because okay, and how many? I know we are learning of sleeper cells that are going to be activated. Ridiculous. Now you are driving and you're looking over your shoulder. We thought everything was nice and dandy here because the war is in the Middle East. But now we are learning of sleeper cells. Who are these people? Where are they? And by the way, how are you going to find them? Are you going to racially profile Muslims? Or are you going to what? You're going to outlaw all the Muslim religion or what? I mean, because first of all, that makes no sense. I mean, absolutely ridiculous.
There are ways and means to go about it. And I don't understand if this situation that the world have found themselves in, perpetuated by the US government, if this was their only option, even if you feel that they were going to attack you, why was it that the United Nations, your partners, the Senate, why is it that this was not strategic and planned? You planned a Security Council. You had a meeting, and the meeting ended, and obviously maybe you didn't get what you wanted, but there was another meeting planned. Why is it that you go ahead and launch a war on a country that you were in negotiations and diplomatic talks with? Because obviously they did not fail. They weren't finished. They were in the process of being a unified diplomacy of giving and taking something, because in life, that's what it's about. It's about giving and taking. Why is it that we failed to establish or try our best to come up with some type of diplomatic solutions? Because it doesn't seem as though that's what happened. It seems as though we really were just war hungry here in America, because we have we are a superpower and we have the abilities and the capabilities to bomb. So let's just go ahead and do it, and we'll deal with the repercussions afterwards. But you can't deal with the repercussions afterwards when you're dealing with lives.
Ricardo, and that's true. And I'm telling you, it's this, and it's just ridiculous what's going on. It's just ridiculous. You see, first of all, we're going around upsetting our allies and starting war with the people we call our enemies. Okay, making enemies, and then sleeping in bed with the Russians, but at the same time the Russians are in bed with the Iranians. You see what's going on here? Donald Trump is way over his head. He's way over his head. And still, amidst all of this, he is hurling threats at Cuba, a very small, minuscule country that cannot necessarily to defend itself, but they were able to defend themselves. You think with all that's going on in the world, we're going to have strength for Cuba too? And Mexico? First of all, Donald Trump is going around the world pissing off everybody. You think we can withstand everybody that's coming to attack us now?
Okay, so now we're moving up. So what's the goal with Cuba? I don't understand. Why do we need to go there now? I just don't understand.
He looked like he's attacking. He's talking about Cuba and how he wants Guantanamo Bay back and so on and so forth, and making Cuba great, Iran great, Venezuela great again. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then people think this is a comedy. It's not a comedy, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. You see, but playing with America. America has had to deal with suicide bombers back in the 2000s, and we haven't heard about no suicide bomb and these things anymore. And all what we're hearing now is people are re-engaging and reactivating these kind of tactics. Because this is ridiculous. Now I'm driving. I'm like, let me be careful. Okay.
Oh, by the way, what happened to Savannah's Guthrie's what the mother? Did they ever find her?
No, they never found. They haven't found her. No, they haven't found her. They haven't found her. Yeah. Yeah. This is the neoliberal round. We're talking. We're having this week and last. We are talking about the war, and I said to people, we have to hold our government accountable. They must not feel as though when they started the Russian war. I mean, when Russia attacked Ukraine. I said this before. Okay, people must hold their government accountable. The Russian people cannot just sit idly by and allow Vladimir Putin to attack another country, sovereign country, just like that, okay? And send their sons to war, and they don't know what's going on. All right? They can, and the same thing, the same thing is true of here in the US and Israel as they attack another sovereign country. We must hold them accountable. The Neoliberal Podcast.
I just have to have defined goals and strategy and work with partners. We've always said no man is an island. That is the most important thing. So we cannot achieve whatever goal we're trying to achieve alone. And that's how the world has operated for centuries. And I mean, it's just, I thought that we were beyond senseless wars. And I mean, this is 2026. And the worst thing is that we were the aggressor. I mean, since last year, we've been bombing people in boats, bombing people in, I mean, just bombing. It's so easy. This is why I hate weapons. I hate guns. I hate all of it. Now we have drones. Now people are finding other ways in order to build, in order to kill people. They're building drones so they could decimate and destroy. Why is it that we build things to destroy? I just don't understand it.
I don't know. It's, it's crazy.
That's another, they're blowing up water channels. Today they blew up a water channel somewhere. I mean, so people cannot get their water. Israel apparently blew up some water somewhere in Tehran or in Iran. And, something you don't do that. You don't do that for the civilians who are now caught up in this war. And regardless, whatever the resolution for this war is, you're gonna say, yeah. And it's so easy for people to say, yeah, lives, it's gonna be lost. No. Why did that?
Lives don't have to be lost.
Have to be lost.
Okay.
I just don't understand it. We're human beings.
But humanity. I tell you, this presidency is also another word to add: revenge. I said that. How you define President Trump's presidency? Duplicitous, hypocritical, arrogance, dishonesty. Bully, racism, juvenile, and also revenge. And
yeah, but now
revenge. Why do I say revenge, Ricardo? Why do I say revenge? You see, everything that Obama had his hand on, he touches and makes it and wants to change. He have the Obamacare, he wants to change that. He doesn't want the Obamacare. He wants to create Trump first. Okay, there is the EPA regulation. He changed the EPA. He removed the law about that helps to limit emissions that allows us to breathe in nicer air. He removed that, although it's good. Okay, and then America had a deal with Iran, and that was working. Oh, he upended that. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, crazy.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. One of the great features and success ruling of the Republican Party and the MAGA movement is the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And now I'm thinking, maybe the motivation for that is so that our mothers can have young boys and girls and have enough people to support a war. I mean, why would somebody not want to have an abortion if they know that they're going to have their kids in a world that's corrupt? Why would I want to have a child and bring them into a world like this? Tell me, what have you done to ensure that motivate me to want to have a child? Other than having my son and my daughter having to go off and fight some war and then having to have them killed. That's the only reason why you want me to bring a child into this world, so you could use them as monkeys, so they could or use them as pawns, so that they could get killed to fight some kind of war for someone else, you know? And these are the questions, like, you know, before you could overturn Roe versus Wade, make sure Roe versus Wade, whatever it's called, you create a society that would encourage people to have kids, as opposed to forcing them to do so. Everything about our society today right now, it's forcing them to do things, as opposed to rewarding them or creating a society that encouraging them to do the right thing that you want them to do. It's all about punishment or kill or destroy. You know, that is a thought process that comes out of love. If you rule with the iron fist, then you will lose the people, which Donald Trump is, and the Republican Party has lost the people, because you may be charismatic and that's how you won, but to maintain it, you have to maintain the people. You can't lose them, which means, you know, what does that look like? That's what you have to do a deep dive within yourself. Everything is, let's come up with this, you know.
You know, I'm telling you, when you ask about what's going, I mean, this has been quite in America, pissing off everybody. You know, we said when Obama was president, he said part of his plan was to restore American relationship. Restore the relationship and the connections we have, because that's what it's about. It's about, we live in a world, life is about people and how people relate. And of course, what has made us thrive in the world as Americans is the connections and the relationship, and the fact that we were always about promoting a kind of democracy, okay, a kind of humanity. Yes, we value humanity, we value ethics, we value political correctness. Yes, that's through the door. Okay, we do not value that. Okay. The freedom and liberty for all, that's through the door. Because that is not how this president is about, because all in an effort to restore the majority. The goal is always to restore the majority. Okay, to maintain or to reestablish the dominance of the majority. And if that means burning down democratic institutions that facilitates diversity, then they are willing to do that. But in order to do that, it is eroding the very fabric of America. The very fabric of America. And the thing is, they have done a poor cost-benefit analysis and opportunity trade-off. Okay? Because you're trying to maintain your dominance, you're trying to reestablish your dominance, but at what cost? Or how are you going to do that? Okay, without burning down the very fabric of this country, and not only that, upending long-standing relationships that we had. Ridiculous.
Now we've created. So everybody want to say he's done really great with fixing the immigration problem. He was even telling Europe that they have an immigration problem. Now with what this war has done, it's going to create. Now he's telling Australia that he should give these Iran football players asylum because of asylum. You have created an immigration problem again.
First of all, isn't Iran gonna play against Ecuador in the US in the World Cup? Are they in the World Cup?
Know.
I think
I don't even care about that right now. I don't even care about
what's gonna happen with the World Cup, anyways.
What I don't even care about that. Right now, I care about the idea of, right now, when he came into office, all he had to do was try and fix immigration in a way that was humanistic and civil. He did not do it in a way that he dehumanized people. You know, he could have done it in a more professional way, because he had the backing and the support of nearly 60% of the people in this country, and now he doesn't. He could have done that. And then he could have worked with countries to ensure that they, like what he was doing with Mexico and those countries, to ensure that they have safety net for people and welfare and work with all of these organizations that America has to show that they could help these countries succeed to try to fix immigration. And those people who come here, when they catch them, if they, try and work on policies and
Ricardo, I don't think they know
really,
I told you they're way over their heads. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have thinkers. They don't have thinkers who think properly about these things. And then he destroyed the West Wing of part of the West Wing of the White House. And now people are saying it is such an ugly edifice. Okay, whatever he's doing. And and I'm quite sure he believes the same thing. It's so ugly. The beautiful building, turn it around into some ugly despot lair. Okay.
And I don't care. It's not important. That's something that I really don't care about. I would not even, that was on the news. I really don't care. That's something that they could talk about after we have gone through what we're going through now. They could talk about how ugly it is 10 years from now. Right now, is to ensure that we get out of this.
Postmodernism or modernism, but Nerditis speaks to constructs. Certain constructs define reality, and the construct, what he did, the construct of the White House with this demolishing part of the West Wing and then re-engineering the White House, it speaks to the construct that he has there, speaks to what's going on in the world with what he's doing in the world today. He has burned institutions and created his own thing.
Well, listen, a lot of people are now going to be depending on U.S. oil because the Gulf is a disaster. So now we're going to have to produce more. So Canada and USA has to start producing a lot more oil. They're going to have to get on it. They're going to have to do that. Listen to me, Renaldo, with all of this that's going on, a lot of countries are going to suffer. The smaller nations like the Caribbean islands and they're going to suffer.
I think earlier we alluded to that in the podcast earlier. We asked what's going to happen in terms of oil, because they're not oil producing rich nations. What happened to these smaller countries? How are they going to? In fact, that's what happened in the 1970s when when OPEC decided to reduce oil supply, which would drive up the cost. That's why they went to the IMF and the World Bank and to the US and some of these countries asking for help and for loans, and the loans were tied to conditionalities that forever burdened them in terms of debt, made them debt ridden, and affected their economy because they had to open up their economy and they became penetratable.
Yeah, but regardless, forget that. Fast forward to this now. No, we're trying to fix an immigration problem in the world that we were dealing with, and especially in America, the greatest superpower on earth. And we try to deflect. But guess what? A lot of economies were doing well. To be honest with you, since COVID, a lot of economies, we bounced back better, but a lot of smaller countries were doing really well. You could tell that a lot of countries were doing well. All right, so I feel as though immigration would have slowed regardless, because I felt like a lot of countries were actually doing well, smaller nations. Anyways, fast forward to today, with everything that's going on, a lot of these small countries whose resources are trading that was backed by whatever was going on, the bigger nations usually are not affected by war too much. We usually make money when there's a war. But these countries are going to suffer. They're going to want somewhere to go. They're going to go to the more successful nations. I know we're trying to pull them out because we don't want them here. But we actually have perpetuated the situation that has caused them to want to come here. So it's not just about helping Iran. By doing what we're doing, we now have to help we're going to have to open up our pocketbooks, and my taxpayer money now is going to have to go and help all these other countries that were affected by this war alone. And that's something that we have to really think about, that we don't think about. Our actions can indirectly affect other smaller nations that don't have the wherewithal. And as a result, they will travel here. And that's something that I feel like we don't think about. Or governments who don't understand history or you know,
Yeah, that's it is.
geography, and how this is why I always say America is a great power. There's so many countries dependent on this country. You know, either whether it be our military, technology, whatever, because it's a melting pot. We have people from all walks of life, for every part of the globe lives here en masse, and so we have their brains, their looks, with all of that comes. Yeah, it might not be good, but you're in a frying pan. You don't want to jump into the fire. So because of that, we have the best technology because we have the best people. Look at the Olympics. This Asian girl, the Ice Olympics, she's Chinese American, but she's not Chinese American. I see her as an American. She was representing the American flag, but I don't see anything else but an American, someone representing our country. You know, and that's what we should start looking at. We come here, we all represent this country because everyone has participated in building the Americas. And a lot of times I see people hating on tourists. Oh, whoever has been here longer is saying that they deserve it here more than anyone else. And that's not what it is. Everyone has participated in building and making this country the greatest on earth. It's not just one sect of people. It's amalgam of different people from different walks of life, different religion, different structure has come together. So how dare somebody claim that, okay, we're foundational and we're this? Because this country has continued to change and grow and develop over the years. From slavery, from Indians, indentured service coming here, Asians, Europeans, Africans. I mean, this has always been that country. And it's just so sad to see that is what a lot of people have a problem acknowledging the importance of how immigration has been important in making this country what it is. And when you fight against that, you're fighting against the greatness that so many people in so many different walks of life have come to, because they want the freedom to worship, the freedom to be human the way they want to be it. Somebody wants an orange hair, you know, this country, they won't talk as much. It's like, it's America.
Yeah. We leave it here with Ricardo, the Neoliberal podcast, giving you an update as to the state of affairs in the world.
Yes.
This is the Neoliberal Podcast.